My name's Dave DeBoe, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome back to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave DuBois. And have you ever wondered how to navigate the intricate world of real estate investment, from wholesale deals to buy and hold strategies? Well, today my guest, Rande Eighmy from Magnolia Manor Group, has mastered the art. Get ready to delve into the secrets of successful real estate investing. Rande, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So give us a little background as to how you got started in real estate.
Well, kind of funny. I was actually retired. My wife had joined a real estate group for women only. So of course you couldn't be part of the group or anything else as a male. So of course I sat in the background and I kept hearing all this stuff in my ears and learning stuff on the side, and it kind of sunk in. And I enjoyed it. And then she went to a conference for 3 days. Met a gentleman there who's one of my mentors. His name's Clifford Walker. So I connected with him. I joined his group and got enlightened from there. And it was truly an eye-opening of what is out there and what you can do in the investing world. And I've learned a lot from him and his group, and I still keep in contact with him and the group. But we also joined another group after that, which is the largest group in the state of Texas of investors. Phil and Chenoa Grove, who brought us in, we learned so much more, a little bit more education on commercial properties, single family residence, condominiums. So it's been a very learning experience. And from there, we've met multitudes of people. Jimmy Johnson from Dallas Cowboys, we got to meet him and have a good conversation with him. And that was brought to us by another mentor by the name of JT Fox. JT Fox, if you know him, what is it? Something dog millionaire. Slumdog Millionaire. Great book. But we learned a lot from him, and we see him probably every 3 to 6 months when we go to another invitational thing with him. And of course, I enjoy it. Once I got hooked, once I started listening to it, when my wife's group started, I was done. I was already in. So it's just taking that first step.
Yeah, really. So tell us a little bit more about this Magnolia Manor Group.
Well, Magnolia Manor Group, my wife originally came up with the name because that's her favorite tree, her favorite flower is Magnolia Manor Group. So we wanted to name the business after something that we both had a liking for, that meant something to us. And of course that meant something to my wife. So that's what we chose. But once we started the business, then it was more, okay, what do we do now? We took all the training, we took all the class. Now we got to step out that front door, which I know for a lot of investors is the hard thing, to step out that front door and take that initial. But it's been well worth it. Well worth it.
What was the first step into the real estate game when you finally took the education, put it into practice?
Well, we started a thing called driving for dollars.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, driving for dollars was a lot of fun. Going around neighborhoods, finding empty, vacant homes, leaving notes, leaving your business card or so forth, what we call yellow letter. And then it went from there to door knocking, to actually going to residents' doors that might be in certain situations, whether it be foreclosure, divorce, or whatever. But then we start door knocking. And the old saying is, you've got to knock on so many doors to get to one.
Yeah, like
So
100 doors.
$100 to get one deal. We've reached well over the 100 doors. We've gotten quite a few deals that way. I think a lot of people, the new investors, what they hesitate with is that afraid to approach that door in the conversation they want to have because they've never met the people. They know they're going through a hard time and they're not quite sure how they're going to get a response when the door's
Or
open.
what the response is going to be in Texas. Get off my property.
Yeah, well, yeah. You hear anything from well, thanks, we got it taken care of to I'm not interested, up to things that you really aren't expecting, but it's something you got to get used to. It's nothing against you personally as an investor, but you got to remember they're going through a hard time. They're going through somewhere. They're still trying to figure it out. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. I think the younger generation, myself included, might not like I'm a big fan of door knocking, going up and talking to people, but I'm from a different kind of space. I'm okay with that. That's what I was brought up on in the real estate space, but it seems like a lot of times now people are wanting to run some Facebook ad campaign or and sit at home and avoid the people part of this business, which isn't um yeah, you can talk to someone on the phone, but when someone's standing right in front of you, it's a bit different.
yeah.
Um and I would hesitate I'd say that probably door knocking as people press further into the digital side of things, there's less people knocking on doors than there has ever been, at least for real estate. I'm sure people are knocking for solar and
Oh,
window cleaning and all that stuff. So people are out there. But I think people are definitely afraid of the unknown. That's the one thing that yeah, I would always say to people when I was training them is that I'd go, hey, look, you don't know what's on the other side of the door. But before you go and knock on that door, you got to think, okay, I'm out here doing real estate for a reason. So you think about that reason, you say, I don't want to be broke anymore. And then maybe the pain of being broke is greater than the anxiety of the door and go knock that door. And what's the worst they're gonna tell you to get off their property? Okay, you leave.
yeah.
So did you start with the wholesaling or did you go right into, renovating these things and rentals and that sort of thing? Or where did you get your start once you started getting these leads coming in?
Where our first thing was we were going to start with wholesaling. We
Hmm.
get that under our belts and everything else. Well, during that time, of course, we got a couple of deals, a couple of contracts signed,
Hmm.
and they were going to either be a wholesale or we were going to do a buy and hold on them. We weren't
Yeah.
quite sure, but we got them over the title, and then come to find out that other things pop up in title that
Yeah.
the client may not always tell you about.
Hmm.
So our first ones ended up being short sales. And
Yeah.
of
So you had to wait.
course, yeah,
How long did that take?
they take up to about 6 months, if not a little longer, depending on the
I've
situation.
heard, yeah, 6 months or more. 6 months is like a good on track short sale,
Yes.
but there's money there. So tell us about the money on the other side of 6 months.
Well, the nice thing about it, like we have one that's probably about 15 to 20 days from closing,
Hmm.
completely through the short sale. They've been getting offers on the home like crazy. The only
Hmm.
problem is the people buying the home don't want to wait till the end of the short sale. They want it like right now.
Yeah.
This doesn't always happen, especially with short sales. You've got to wait till that term's over with. So we're getting really great offers on the house, and it'll actually, we thought, well, maybe 2,500, 5,000. But if the offers keep coming through on this one the way they have been, it'll give us about 20 to maybe 30,000
Yep.
profit on. So
You did the work and you waited it out.
yes,
So of all the real estate strategies, it's pretty diverse, what
yes.
you can do with real estate as a tool. Wholesaling, sub twos, wraps, rentals, buy and hold. Well, of those strategies that you have an education on, what have you implemented so far in your career?
Well, like I said, we've done them wholesaling. We've got a couple of deals working. Matter of fact, last night we spent a couple of hours at a home by a lake here in Texas that we may be able to pick it up at a really good price. She only wants to deal with us. So she's not been bothered by any other real estate investors or even real estate agents. So we've got the first option on it. And at the end of the conversation, it ended up there's two plots or two sections right next to the home that comes with the deal. So you could actually put two more homes on that property. But right now, it's just beautiful green grass and trees. So
Mm-hmm.
we're looking forward to giving her an offer tomorrow in regards to that property. I kind of told her what my offer would be last night, and she was happy with it. So we'll go from there. It's going to be a little bit more involved. It's an older home. It was probably built in the 50s, early 50s. All the windows are going to have to be replaced. The floor's been completely redone. She had that done herself. Really well done. We'll change one room. One room has carpet, so we'll change that out. We'll put new carpet or the flooring to match. Um, but most of the work that needs to be done is just this much.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kept up. The electrical's been done. Plumbing's been done. So our behalf on it is we can offer a little bit more because we don't have to go in and do as much. The
Yeah.
biggest thing is the windows. It's got a new roof. Uh, Everything else is taken care of.
Mm.
But I think for us, it's the buy and holds. Um, we like buy and holds. We haven't done a flip yet. We kind of got an idea of what we're looking for to do a flip, and we haven't run across that particular house yet.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it. The nice thing is we work with a multitude of other investors. We have a list of investors we work closely to. Uh, I would say 98% of our deals are JVs. So I highly recommend to anybody that's in the business, get to know your investors, get to know people that you can, because most of the homes that we're buying and looking at, making offers, they're 4.5, 5, 6 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at the closer ones, we'll drive the 2 hours, but anything over the 2 hours, we'll JV with somebody else. So,
Someone who's out there.
yes.
So what do you like most about the real estate that you've been doing so far?
It really sounds funny. Meeting the people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when you actually, like I said before, when you knock on the door and you've got to get that speech down, you got to feel comfortable doing it. And you've got to be able to communicate with them and be able to get them to open up to you. And that's the hardest thing. But
Mm-hmm.
once you can get them to open up to you, then it's the terminology you use, because if you start saying and asking certain questions or saying certain things, that wall that was up here when you first came has dropped because you got to know them. And then all of a sudden you say the wrong thing, the wall goes right back up.
Yeah.
So it's taken the time learning how to talk to somebody. I recommend a book by Chris Voss, um, Art of Negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the best books that's out there. It teaches you what to say at the right time.
Mm-hmm. The other
But,
guy I really like is Jeremy Miner and
oh
his
yeah,
just digging. I think a lot of people are trying to push when it's a lot easier to pull the conversation along with good questions. Now, tell me what maybe isn't so great about it so far.
well, I've run into a couple of incidents where they've already spoken to some individuals. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the kind of attitude that they gave to that individual, that client, possible client, that turned them off completely. They don't want to hear from anybody. They'd rather lose a house. But then it's how you talk to them to get them to turn around. Um, Hardest thing is dealing with people who tell them their house isn't worth what they want. You're never going to sell it. You're going to have to sell it. Unless you sell it to me, nobody's going to give you a good price. You know what? In our group, there's probably over 3,000 investors in our group, and some of them are investors plus realtors. Some of them are, the biggest one is our title company is part of the group. So it's a law-owned title company. So that works out really well. He takes care of a lot of the legal issues. But I stay within my group, but I do have ones outside the group that I trust. It's building the trust with those and knowing that they're not going to, and I hate to use the word, stab you in the back or make the deal go sour.
Mm.
You've got to be able to have confidence in that individual. And right now, we've got a great list of people. We have support from, like I said, almost 3,000 people plus.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to real estate investing, what do you think your secret sauce is? What comes easy to you that other people find difficult to do?
Well, I kind of I enjoy talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bad habit. If we go to a store, no matter what store, grocery store, clothing store, furniture store, I will talk to everybody in the store. I'll get to
Mm-hmm.
know. But it's just a habit, and it builds up good rapport because I go back to that store. They know me by name now.
Mm-hmm.
Customers see me that I've seen once or twice, and they'll say, "Oh, hey, how you been?" It's the ability to have the conversation, not to be afraid to have that conversation. I walked up to a gentleman in a grocery store and I liked his t-shirt. And I told him, "Hey, I'll trade you my shirt, the one I'm wearing, for the t-shirt because I like your shirt." So it started that long conversation. We spent 40 minutes talking. So I told him what we did. He took my card and he says, "I'll be looking forward to doing business with you." Now, if he calls, that's one thing. If he doesn't call, that's another, but that's okay. Every
Mm-hmm.
time I see him in that same store, we say hi to each other. So we
Yeah,
build up
buy him another shirt that's more interesting. Keep it in your car. You never know.
exactly.
So where do you want the business to go in the next 12 months? What's the future look like?
We are now looking into doing commercial properties. We're looking for certain pieces of commercial property, um, working on the business end of it, um, not just buying the property itself, but we want to
Mm-hmm.
buy the business and then turn that business around. Um, I know we have an individual that's one of our mentors, Brett Moss, who's excellent in this business. Um, he buys buildings, department stores, and he's
Mm-hmm.
up to that point where he's at that level of buying department stores, um, 4, 5, 6 level, multi-level office building, and then they renovate it, rent it out, sell it 4, 5, 10 years later. So,
Commercial space, yeah. So with all you've accomplished in real estate investing so far, what would you say your biggest obstacle is these days?
um, I think the biggest obstacle we have is the understanding of the possible client of what's actually happening. Because we've gone into houses where we've thought, okay, this would be a nice house to own, nice rental property, da 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 da. But we
Mm-hmm.
get in there and their whole ideal is to save the house. So we'll give them a couple options on how to save it. We'll go through those options. We'll show them how to do it. If it works, that's great. We've gotten letters back to us and emails back to us saying, "Thank you. We've saved our house. We did what you said. It worked out perfectly." I just had a couple in San Antonio, Miguel and his wife. They wanted to keep their house. They wanted to keep their house. So we showed them what to do, directly how to do it, how to word it, how to say it. And 3 weeks later, I got a call saying, "I appreciate everything you did. We got approval on it. So we're keeping our house." So
Yeah.
that means just as much to me as being able to buy one. Being able to help somebody, I'd do that as well. I'm there all day long.
So right now, what are you doing to fund your deals?
Um, we have been using um, our own IRA, our
Mm-hmm.
self-directed Roth IRAs. But now we're getting into the point where the amount is greater that we're needing. So we have private money lenders on our list. We have hard money lenders on our list. We belong to another group called Blink Lending. They're great. They're fantastic. They look at the deals. You give them the projection and everything else, and they're usually right on top of it. And
Hmm.
they're usually really good about the lending terms. So,
So when you look at the money that you're going to need, likely with the commercial spaces, it's a little bit more than buying a house, say in San Antonio for like 50K or 75K.
yeah.
Um, what are some of the strategies you're using to access more people and money to do these, larger deals?
Well, in that case, what we'll do is if we find a really good deal and we'll do all the homework on it, due diligence, then we'll go to three or four, maybe five different individuals that we may
Mhm.
think of for GCs.
Yeah.
And then we'll approach them. And then we'll think about doing, um, opening up a group to have investors step in to put money into it. So we'll try to do a syndicate on some of these projects. Just like if you find a 600, 800 door apartment complex, it's great to work with a syndicate. People
Hmm.
that aren't familiar with syndicates, there are some really great syndicates out there, depending on how much you put in. Some of them are a minimum of 100,000. Some of them are a minimum of 50,000. It all depends, but the rate of return and your percentage is what you're looking at.
Hmm.
Growth. Um, you're going to get paid back in a certain amount of time. Most of it's 5 years. So you got to be able to say, okay, can I hold this money for 5 years? Well, if you're putting in 100,000 or plus, you're looking at 5 years, but you got to understand those guys that are the GCs, they're putting in 1, 2, 3, 10 million on projects.
Yeah, they've got a
So
little bit more skin in the game.
yes. So when we get to that point, the bigger projects, and it's all going to those individuals and then try to do a syndicate.
Nice. So on the smaller stuff, have you been able to bring any um, private money partners on for some of these smaller things?
Right now we haven't because, well, we're intending to now because we've used ours to the point where we've got money floating.
Yeah.
And people that know that you still have the money in there. You still have the value in your IRA because it's the value of what you took out. You got the home in there.
Hmm.
So um, a lot of people hesitate using their own, but sometimes it's the best thing for you because you're not losing money. It's the
Yeah, you
value.
can, especially when you're getting started, cut your teeth with your own money and get some confidence and then start bringing other people in after you've kind of proved it to yourself and ultimately to the market that you can bring it in, pull it out, put it together, send it back to the market, do the full cycle thing. So when you look at deal finding and money raising, do you prefer to have your money kind of lined up and then go look for a deal, or do you prefer to find a deal and then go and get the money put together?
I like to find the deal.
Mm,
I like to find the deal. I like to find out what it's going to cost, do
right.
a breakdown, and then if I have to use private or Blink Lending or anybody else, that's when I got everything lined up. Everything's in documentation. Everything's handed out to everybody going, this is what I propose. So, uh,
So with, the investment of significant capital, typically people need to like, know, and trust you.
yes.
Um, what are you doing for each of those things?
Well, the nice thing about it is the group that we're in, you don't mind if I mention their name, do
Yeah,
you?
go ahead. Yeah, there's no
And
affiliation here, so.
Bill and Shanoa Grove had started a business. They've been in it for over 20 years, and it's called the Big Dogs, but it's Texas Reis. So it's REIS. Um, but the group is called the Big Dogs. Now, within,
Chanel.
Within
Bro.
the big dogs, like I said, there's approximately about 3,000 members. There's general contractors, electricians, um, people that do almost any type of labor to the homes, roofers,
Hmm.
excuse me. And then we have real estate agents who are also investors. So if I do buy a house and I want to put it on the market, depending on where it's located, I'll pull one of our big dog friends over from that area and list it with them. So not only do they make a commission off of it, then I also get my
Yeah,
money.
keep it in the community. I was
Yeah.
looking it up on my phone. I'm like, were they on the show? Did I interview those people? I feel like I did, but it's hard to say, how many episodes were in here. But um, you know, it seems like you're at that scaling point. You've deployed all your capital and you're starting to bring in other people's capital. Um, for people who are just getting started, what advice would you have for them?
Don't be afraid. Take the
Easier,
step.
easier said than done, definitely.
And it is. Because when we first, like I said, when we first went driving for dollars or door knocking, it was, oh my God, but I love talking. So for me, it was like, okay, I don't know these people. I haven't seen them. I'm at their house.
Would you
So
say you're an extrovert?
I'm a left brainer and extrovert because I love to talk. I talk to everybody. So
What did you do in your W-2?
what did I do on my W-2?
Yeah, what was the profession prior to real estate? Because you said you retired and then took up real estate. So
Well,
I'm always curious when people are like, I like to talk. I like to figure out, okay, were you stuck behind a desk for 40 years and now you want to get out there and talk? Or were you a salesman? What was it have you always been someone who likes to strike up a conversation?
well, I was for a short time, I'd say a short time, 10 years, I was a big rig, heavy duty tow operator who specialized in accident recoveries on big rigs.
Mm.
So I was out doing this kind of work and struggling, not struggling, but my body was feeling it after
Yeah,
about 10.
that's hard work. That's hard work.
I went back to doing mechanic work on heavy equipment. So I
Still
did,
heavy work, yeah.
yeah, so I did that for a while and I decided to change my career. So I went back and got another degree, but I became ordained and I became a pastor. I was a pastor in California for years
There you go.
before I moved to Texas. So my ability to talk and communicate and see the movement, see the reactions is kind of like a training I've had in many ways. But that's where I enjoy talking to people.
Yeah. You gotta on Sunday shake some hands, talk to everyone who comes in. You can't yeah, definitely yeah, that's definitely an interesting trajectory. So if people want to connect with you, they want to find out more, what should they do? How do they find you?
Best way to find us is two ways. It would be our website, which would be www.magnoliamanorgroup.com, or they can reach out to us directly by our emails, which is my first name, Randy, with an E, at magnoliamanorgroup.com. And then my wife as well. Her first name is Mybrit, which is MAJBRITTK at magnoliamanorgroup.com. The best way to get a hold of us because we get those all day long.
It's like both of you got together. Was it like when you got together was like your name's interesting too. Your spelling and hit it off. It's not Randy with a Y, it's with an E, and the last name is interesting just to start with. So definitely
Well,
um,
funny when we first met because my last name is actually German. It's pronounced different in Germany, spelled just a touch different. But my wife is Danish. She's from Denmark. So when I first met her, I called her Mygrit, and her name is Mybrit.
well, there
So
you
there's
go.
a difference in saying the name. So, but yeah, it was kind of funny because we picked on each other for a couple of days when that happened. So.
Well, really appreciate you stopping by and letting people know about what you're doing down there in the Texas market, and I wish you all the best.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time and allowing me to be on your podcast.
Awesome, awesome. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.